I'm Erin Wilson, and you are listening to Inside NC Labor, a podcast designed to inform and educate North Carolina citizens on the role that the Department of Labor plays in state government. Good morning, everyone. I'm Erin Wilson, and today I'm joined with my co-host Jennifer Haygood and our special guest, Commissioner Josh Dobson. And we're going to talk about his first year in office.
Commissioner Dobson, thanks again for your time here with us today. It's been quite the year. Why don't you just take a few moments and kind of reintroduce yourself to our listeners and talk about why you wanted to be here in the first place.
Sure, and you're right, it has been quite a year. And we've been blessed beyond measure this year, and a lot of accomplishments and a lot of things we've had to work through. 2019, when Commissioner Berry announced that she wasn't going to run for this office again, I knew immediately that this was the office that I wanted to run for. I felt like my time in the General Assembly was coming to an end, regardless of what I did next. And the reason for that is two things, really: the broad nature of the Department of Labor: wage and hour, education, training, and technical assistance, elevators, boilers, compliance, consultative services, all the things that the Department of Labor does. I knew that it wouldn't be boring, and we are a very diverse department that a lot of people may or may not be familiar with. And second, the consequential nature of the Department of Labor. If I was going to subject myself to 2 years of running for office, I wanted it to be something that mattered. And what we do here at Labor matters. We are responsible for the safety and welfare of almost 5 million workers in North Carolina. And that was not lost on me, and it's not lost on me even today. So we were blessed to announce we had a tough primary and won by a couple percent, and was very blessed to win that primary. And then COVID hit, so we had a challenging election cycle. But then we were fortunate enough to win by a couple percent in the general election as well, and then sworn in almost a year ago to the day. And what a year it has been. And I look forward to discussing some of the things that we've got into this year, and some of the things I've learned, and what our goals and vision is going forward. So I'm just tremendously blessed to be here.
Okay, so starting off with our first question. It has been a year since you took on the role of Labor Commissioner. How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel really, really good about where we are as a department. One of the things I'm most pleased with is, in an office environment, you better figure out how to work together. And the staff that I brought with me, meshing with the incredible staff that was already here, has been a success story. And I'm very, very proud of how we have all worked together for the good of the state and the good of the department. So I feel very good and well pleased with where we are at. And I also probably feel more grateful now than the day that I was sworn in. It is not lost on me the opportunity that I've been given here to be a member of the Council of State, to hold a statewide office, and to be responsible for almost 5 million workers. And every day when I walk in, even today, I still feel incredibly grateful for the opportunity that I've been given.
Thank you for sharing that. You already spoke a little bit about kind of the highlight of how well you feel like our staff has worked together so far. What have been some other of your highlights from 2021? So
almost immediately on taking office, I implemented paid family leave for our employees. This is a very tumultuous time, and anything that I have the authority to do to make life easier for our employees, I want to do. And I've seen it make a difference in the lives of the employees at the Department of Labor. So I was very proud to implement paid family leave, and maybe set an example for other businesses and entities out there to implement paid family leave going forward. It's a very competitive market, and we are searching for the best and brightest, and anything we can do to make the Department of Labor more marketable, that's something that I want to do. And I think that was a big step in the right direction to recruit and retain the best and the brightest. So very proud of that. I see that as a highlight. The safety award season was a bit challenging because it was more in the fall as opposed to normally when it is in the spring, but the we started off right in Wilmington and met some folks down there, and it's been such an eye-opener to me to be able to travel this state and going to these safety award banquets all across our state. And you see a lot of different communities come together for a safety award banquet, and to see the uniqueness of different communities around our state has been pretty special. And to get to meet people and interact with people that I otherwise would never have been able to interact with has been pretty special. And then in addition to that, the Carolina Star Site visits, that's something that we've been able to do. I always try to take employees or some of my staff with me on some of these visits, so it's given me a chance to bond with our staff here at the department, but also go out and see the commitment that some of these manufacturing, construction facilities have made to workplace safety to reach that Carolina Star certification level, which for your viewers is our highest level of certification for workforce safety. So that's been a highlight. That's something that I've been enjoying as well. So paid family leave, safety award banquets, and visiting Carolina Star sites has been something that has been a tremendous honor over this first year.
So you've talked to us about some of your highlights that you've seen in 2021. What about some of the frustrations you had in 2021?
So I would say the biggest frustration is I've been able to do it to a certain extent, but I've not been able to get to know all the employees of the department as much as I would have liked. And there's reasons for that. One, COVID obviously is the main culprit from allowing me to interact on a daily basis with our employees all across the state. And the other reason, as I stated earlier, our department is so broad, and it's very hard to get all of our elevator inspectors in one place at one time to get to know them. And it's very hard to get our compliance officers who are scattered throughout this state together where I can get to know them on a more intimate level. So part of it's COVID, part of it's just the nature of our department. But I'm going to work on that. That's something that we'll talk about here in a little while, but that's been a frustration. And second, I don't know that I would call it a frustration because I feel like I've had some success, but a challenge has been my daughter she'll be 17 this month. She's immersed in volleyball, basketball, travel volleyball, and all that she's doing. And being the best commissioner of labor I can be and be the best dad that I can be at the same time is something that I've really had to work at and be deliberate to make sure that I do the things that are required here in the office, but also make sure I make it to her basketball games by 6 o'clock in Watauga County. So that's been a challenge, but we've worked through it, and I feel like that I'm at a pretty good place.
I like that you use the term challenge instead of frustration because that puts a little bit more of a positive spin on it. And your comments there about the challenges of being a dad to a high school age daughter probably gave you some insight into what that paid family leave means to the people of this department, and I know it means a lot. So here we are, just a few days into 2022. What are you looking forward to in the new year?
So to not to rehash what I've already said, but to continue to visit star sites and be deliberate on visiting the people that we regulate. In addition to that, safety award banquets is something I'm looking forward to. We're going to have those in the spring again. And to be frank, the thing I'm looking forward to the most is hopefully getting COVID behind us. There are things that I want to do in this department. And when I announced for this position, the coronavirus was not a thing. And it's consumed the better part of this year in my tenure as Commissioner of Labor. So I'm looking forward and I'm confident that we can get this behind us. Hopefully by the time we're doing this next year, COVID-19 is behind us and I can really focus on the things that I wanted to do when I announced for Commissioner of Labor. So I'm very much looking forward to getting COVID-19 behind us so we can move on as a state and as a country, frankly. And I look forward to that.
So I'm sure you've gotten a lot of questions over the year about elevators, where's Sherry Berry? So are you still getting a lot of the questions about who is that man in the elevator?
Every day. Every day I get something on Facebook or Instagram or a text from a friend that says, hey, your picture's not up yet. And I explain to them how the process works to get all 26,000 elevators changed out. So very few days, and I don't think a week has went by that I have not gotten a question about that. And I tell you, my daughter is not very interested in the political process and what I do, but she is a social media she frequents social media a lot, and if they get on there and get on her dad, she takes it a bit personal. So she is working on starting a Elevator Man TikTok to combat any negativity that's out there with regard to the Elevator Man. So it's fun to go with, and if people want to. I want to make sure that people are aware, the citizens of North Carolina are aware that yes, we do elevator inspections, and that is a big part of what we do, but our department is so much more than that. But at the same time, if it associates the Department of Labor with something that government does to keep people safe in North Carolina, I'm good with it, and I'll roll with it. And my daughter is working on that TikTok as we speak.
Well, you seem to really have taken a lot of that in stride, and I'm excited to see what your daughter is working on.
I'm sure she'll have something creative.
That'll be fun. So you mentioned that when people think about the Department of Labor, they kind of naturally tend to think about elevators and not really much else. And people are surprised when they learn kind of the wide range of things we do here at the department. What has surprised you the most as Commissioner of Labor?
I knew that the executive branch was going to be different than my work in the legislative branch. I did not know how vastly different the two branches of government would be. And this is a bit inside baseball, but I think it's important to say that serving in the legislative branch and the executive branch, in the legislative branch, success and failure was much more measurable on a day-to-day basis. You either got your bill through the legislature or you didn't. You either stopped bad legislation or you did not. You either got the things in the budget that you were working for or you did not. You got your bills passed or you didn't. So it was very, very measurable from a week-to-week basis. And in the executive branch, it's harder to quantify, it's harder to capture on a day-to-day basis. Now, the big things like injury and illness rate at the end of the year, you can kind of measure from year to year, but even that is out of your hands to a certain extent with COVID and other things that play a role into that. So that has been a challenge to go day-to-day on, am I being as successful as I want to be on a monthly, weekly, daily basis? Where in the General Assembly, you knew right then immediately whether you were being successful or not. So that's been a big surprise to me. And also in the legislative branch, you have a short session, and it was more like a sprint through the short session, where this in the executive branch is more like a 4-year marathon. And that's because the term is 4 years as opposed to the legislative branch where it's 2 years. So that's been the biggest surprise to me. Not that they're different, because I knew that they were different, but once you're sitting in the driver's seat, the vast differences between what you do on a day-to-day basis in the legislative branch as a legislator representing a certain section of North Carolina versus the executive branch representing the entire state. That's been a big surprise, the vast difference in those two.
Okay, so we're in a new year, and you've talked about some of the highlights you had last year and frustrations or challenges you had. So looking into this new year, is there anything in particular you hope to accomplish?
There are some concrete things that I want to accomplish, and I said as a frustration or a challenge is to get to know, we have roughly 380 employees, 384 employees at the Department of Labor, and I'm never going to develop the relationships with each one of them the way that I would like, but I want to make a dent in that. And the way that I can do that is just to visit and spend some time with them. And as we get COVID behind us, and I'm confident that we will, my goal is to visit each of the 5, the Asheville, Raleigh, Charlotte, Wilmington, and Winston-Salem offices, each of our satellite offices at least twice through this year. And we're going to start that tomorrow by visiting the Wilmington office that I've not visited yet. So I've got a goal to visit each of our satellite offices more than once. And I want to accomplish that in this year. And the reason I want to do that is just to develop relationships with the employees at the department. In addition to that, along those same lines, I want to spend some time with our wage and hour employees and our Employment Discrimination Bureau investigators and really get to know them on a better level than I've been able to do this year. And then I've got my legs under me. It's been a tumultuous year with emergency temporary standards from the federal government that we've had to implement for the healthcare industry, dealing with vaccine mandates, dealing with lawsuits, a lot of challenges that we've had this year. I'm glad to have this first year behind me, and as I continue to get my legs under me, I really want to dive into the details of each of our bureaus within the department, and that being wage and hour, that being education, training, and technical assistance, that be our consultative bureau, and really learn on a deeper level what those employees do on a daily basis. Not to micromanage, I'm not about micromanaging, but I want to have enough information that when the big decisions come, I'll be ready. And that's something that, in a weird sort of way, I want to accomplish and that I look forward to as this new year gets started. So those are some of the things that I want to accomplish this new year.
Well, Commissioner Dobson, we know you have been busy this year, and we appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to update our listeners on what 2021 was like for you and what you're looking forward to in this year. And we're excited about that too. And before we wrap up, do you have any parting thoughts for our listeners?
I just want to say thank you. It's kind of corny and cliche, I know, but I just want to say thank you to the people of North Carolina for giving me this opportunity. And it's not lost on me, the opportunity that I've been given. And I want to continue to work hard to keep the employees and all North Carolinians safe in 2022.
Well, thank you for serving as our guest today.
Very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for tuning in, y'all. And remember, your safety is our priority.